Hey everyone, ever wonder what rights you have when it comes to punishment? Let's dive into the Eighth Amendment and find out. The Eighth Amendment is a super important part of the U.S. Constitution that protects individuals from unfair government power when it comes to bail, fines, and punishment. Simply put, it's designed to make sure that if you ever get into trouble, the methods and severity of your punishment are fair, humane, and fit the crime. Why does this matter? Because it keeps things fair in our justice system, ensuring that everyone gets a reasonable shot, even if they've made a mistake. The first part of the Eighth Amendment talks about excessive bail. Let's break down what that means. Think of bail like a promise to get your money back if you show up to court. You pay it, and you get to go home until your court date, instead of spending that time in a jail cell. If you show up, you get your money back. Bail is excessive if it's way too high for the crime committed. Imagine getting an F in the whole class just for forgetting your homework one time. That's excessive. Judges have to consider the crime, your connections to the community, and what you can afford. Sometimes, bail can be denied entirely. This usually happens if the court thinks you might run away and not show up for your trial, or if you're considered a danger to others. For really serious crimes, bail might not even be an option. Next up, let's talk about excessive fines. This part of the amendment limits how much money the government can ask for as punishment. Fines are like those fees you get if you return a library book late, but for breaking the law. It's money you have to pay as a penalty. A fine is considered excessive if it's super out of proportion to the crime. Imagine getting a fine that's equal to your entire life savings for forgetting your homework. That would be grossly disproportionate. This also applies to property the government might take, known as forfeiture. Thanks to a Supreme Court case called Timms versus Indiana in 2019, this protection against excessive fines now applies to all states, not just the federal government. So states can't hit you with unfair fines either. Now for the most talked about part, cruel and unusual punishments. This is about making sure punishments are humane and fair. This means no torture or super harsh, outdated punishments. The government can't use punishments that are just plain cruel, and the punishment has to make sense for the crime committed. The idea of what's cruel and unusual changes over time, just like how school rules have changed from your grandparents' time to now. The Supreme Court calls these evolving standards of decency. The punishment has to fit the crime. You wouldn't get a life sentence for forgetting your homework, right? The courts use a proportionality principle, so a small misstep shouldn't lead to a huge consequence. The death penalty is the most serious punishment, and it has special rules. For example, it's considered unconstitutional for juveniles or people with intellectual disabilities. So that's the Eighth Amendment in a nutshell. It's all about making sure that justice is administered with fairness and moderation, always keeping humanity and reason in mind. Remember, the Eighth Amendment covers three main things: protecting you from excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishments. Thanks for watching.